Welcome back to Political Capital, the intersection of money and politiki. South Africa is making it again easier for foreign travelers to descend upon our shores. But these relaxations of visa regime were called upon by the tourism sector soon as they were introduced in 2014 and are estimated to have cost the economy between 10 and 7 billion rands as people simply stayed away from visiting South Africa. Professor Tembi Tichaawa, he's the head of the department in the School of Tourism and Hospitality at UJ and joins me now to discuss just that. Prof, thank you for your time. The sector has been calling for these changes since they were enacted in 2014. Did these proposed changes go far enough to save this ailing sector?
Well, thank you very much for having me. For us as the academia and those that are involved with the tourism sector in terms of developing strategies and policies to bring tourists to our shores, we are excited in terms of what these new regulations actually mean for us. Certainly, the fact that these regulations have been somewhat revised means tourists can travel to our shores more easily, and we could rescue the dwindling numbers of tourist arrivals that we have seen since these regulations were put in place.
Prof, but the brand South Africa, from a tourism point of view, has taken a dent. Now foreigners look at our shores as cumbersome. It requires a lot of documents and details. Surely it will take a while for the message to filter through. So how long will we still be in this phase where we're trying to regrow the economy and get the new message out there? I mean, we are definitely not hoping to have tourists arrive in December, are we? Should we be looking realistically at Q2 of 2019?
Look, perhaps you may be correct, but one of the things we need to consider is that brand SA is a strong brand. We have a very beautiful country that a lot of tourists around the world are really interested to come and see. We must look at this in a number of ways. Firstly, the brand SA is already a challenge in terms of crime. And we've seen from crime statistics, which are normally put forward as reasons why people do not visit, that when tourists eventually come to our shores, when they go back, they always have a different perception. But in terms of the brand in itself, it will take time, obviously. And I think it is about how these regulations are quickly put into place to ensure that when tourists do apply for visas to come to South Africa, it's a seamless process. This means that Home Affairs officials that are stationed at embassies globally should be able to ensure that this is actually interpreted correctly. I think with time, we will begin to see a change in SA's brand as far as that is concerned.
Prof, now we've seen that there will be a relaxation in terms of the visa regime for academics and as well as business people with a 3 or 10 year long multiple entry visa being granted. But what's the potential for the South African tourism sector if we were to relax visa restrictions completely from at least Nigeria point of view and as well as China?
Yes. Look, Nigeria and China are both in the top 10 of our source tourism markets. These are markets with that we already tap into, and Nigeria in particular. I mean, if you want to think about it, Nigeria has one of the highest number of dollar millionaires on the continent, and with over 195 million people, we can tap further into that market by way of relaxing visas for ordinary citizens. Because sometimes ordinary citizens, the numbers are more, and they do have the propensity to travel as well. So why focus only on academics and business travelers? We certainly need a leisure market if we're going to grow tourism in the country and make sure that it does contribute to the economy that this same relaxation of visa rules aim to actually, it's part of a stimulus package that was announced by the president on Friday. And if we can relax visa regulations for citizens in China as well as in Nigeria and other parts of the African continent, we surely are moving towards attracting new types of tourists and more visitor numbers, which actually means more jobs and economic growth.
Thank you very much to Professor Tembi Tichaawa, who is the head of Department of the School of Tourism and Hospitality at the University of Johannesburg. We'll be back on your screens this Thursday with more Political Capital as we continue to follow the Zondo Commission of Inquiry into State Capture. Until then, good evening.